So we're going to start over. Now, we're going to go into configuration of the actual radio. Now, to configure radios and access our radios, there's two ways of doing this. Via the command line interface or the web interface. I know that all you guys here are hardcore Cisco, Linux, programmers, and I know you guys are gonna love using the command line interface, right?
Assembly language or
none of that GUI stuff, right? Now, you guys you like the CLI, but I'll still have to cover the web interface just for those that like it. So a good thing about Triangle products is that across the board, on unlicensed radio, Link 24, a licensed gear, Apex Links, Apex Orions, share the same web interface and CLI. Okay, so the main commands are the same. The only thing that changes across the board is a couple features. Again, Orion has XPIC. SM24 does not have, depending on the version you buy, but it only changes features. The other things, management, IBM, OBM, all the connections, SNMP, NTP, it's all the same across the board. So what's the good thing? If you learn to manage one radio, if you later down the line buy an SM24, no problem. You can get it out of the box, connect to it, and know what to do. Okay? So that's the beauty of our Triangle software.
Just curious.
Sure.
For some people with old stuff like me with a Plus, what's really different between a Plus and a Links?
Higher modulation rate, first of all. You hear on the Plus you get QAM 256, you get 1024 on this ones, and the management now goes to a single IP of management. Plus other features like NTP, FTP, and one key difference, if you do a syslock right now, what do you get? You get the syslock based on the uptime of the radio.
Love it.
I know. On the Rhino Links, you get a syslock with events on your NTP. Another thing good on the Links and Orions is you have a syslock server 2.2. Because the other thing that happens is, if you reboot the radio, syslock is gone, right? On the new products, Orion Links and SM24Es, you can actually configure a syslock server, so everything that happens is forwarded to the syslock server. So even if the radio reboots, you still have the last action that happened before the reboot. That is the major keys right there. Again, good products, all of them, but now new generation, higher modulation, bigger throughput as well.
And buffer.
Buffer, yes. So our buffer on the Apex Plus was different, limited. On the new radios, you got 8 megabit buffer, so you got a lot more power behind it as well.
Does that have like a last gasp or whatever, where it's the info on that syslog that's forwarded to that server? Is it going to have something pretty accurate, or is it just going to reflect the?
It's going to be accurate. I mean, for example, what I've seen is link unlock, ACN thresholds, all that is reflected on the syslog. Okay. And then you suddenly just see the message stops, right, until radio reboots again. Okay. So it is pretty accurate. I mean, unfortunately, there's no memory unit to cache it before you reboot or after reboot, right. But that's why we added the syslog server there, so you can point it at least to go out. But it is pretty accurate.
Go out so you can look at the syslog server and figure out,
what was the problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically, for example, I want to say Solar Winds, PRTG, Cacti, by itself, they're syslog servers. If you don't have one, there's one called Kiwi Syslog Server, which is free. It just literally, you can run any PC, put an IP on it, and then same subnet as your radio, pointing to the same thing, and you're going to be sending all your messages there. So you can track what's happening. Okay? So I know you love that Apex Plus uptime, right? You love it.
Okay. It's okay, I don't get into it very much. But.
All right. Okay, so moving forward, again, we're going to first cover the web UI interface. As John mentioned before, we have on the top right-hand side of the actual screen, local link and remote link. Anywhere you click on the screen, you always want to have your RSSI, MSC, and modulation rate. Anywhere you go on the actual radio. Now, there's two-level access on the web interface. The view node and the config node. The web interface is good for if you want to go in, check something, just a brief overview, okay? And if you have somebody in the field that doesn't know what to do on the radio, only give them the view passwords, okay? Speaking of passwords, something that happened. The web interface and the CLI are different as far as password goes. If you change the password on the web interface, the default password is still on the CLI. They're different interfaces. So if you change one, the other one is still factory default. Okay, you have to change both. Then here, on the view node, let's say there's a tech out in the field. You tell them, go through this step, click this, click that. What do you see? What is the ring on the radio? On the view node, he cannot reboot the radio or do any damage to change any parameters.
He's there, he can do all the damage.
He unplugs it, right? One thing you can do is good for the view node is you can clear the counters. Okay? The Ethernet counters and the RF counters. And that is good for because why? Because if you clear the counters, you're going to see if there's actually packets hitting your Ethernet port. Okay? That's what you want it for. You don't want it for anything else, just to troubleshoot my interfaces. Are they actually forwarding any traffic? That's from the view node. Now you can navigate everything, but just not reboot or change anything. Once you into the config mode, you're the captain. You can do whatever you want, so be careful. Okay, simple configuration. When you buy a Link, a licensed Link from Triangle, out of the box is going to be pre-configured for you, okay? Based on your PCN and your FCC license. You take it out of the box, and if you don't learn anything from me on this training at all, not even remember my name, just remember one thing, okay? When you receive your Link, take it out, put it on the bench, and test it before you put it on the tower. That's the thing I want you to take out of this, okay? Don't remember my name, don't remember, you know, I'm fat, short, no. Remember to test it on the bench, okay? That's the golden rule. Not because we didn't actually check it out of the factory, no. Trust me, when it goes out of the factory, the links go out pre-configured, tested on the temperature spec, tested passing traffic, but what happens? Anybody seen those holiday videos when they UPS transport packages? Okay, so you don't know if the guy from UPS dropped your radio and your ODU is a pretty hot piece of metal, but it still has electronics inside. They can get either broken, desolder, cold solder, so just make sure you test it on the bench before you deploy it. I don't want to get a call from you guys, hey, how's it going? Good. Well, I'm here at tower site, I'm on a sat phone, and this thing doesn't power up. I want to ask you the first question. Did you test it on the bench? Oh, well, there you go. Unfortunately, I mean, for us going out, we give you a Link configurations report, and it's going to give you the IPs, frequencies, everything so you can unpack it, just put it 5 feet apart, light it up, test it, pass traffic, ping across the link, do everything on the bench before deploying. Okay? However, when you get your Link and you test it, you're going to want to play with it. That's natural, okay? We want to know more, what happens if I change this, change the other thing. You have your config report. So if you change anything on the radio, you can always go back. But if you really mess up the config, you can start from scratch. And this is how you configure the radio again. 5 steps, really simple. First, you can log in via the web interface or the CLI. When you factory reset the radio, there's going to be the same default IP every time. 192.168.100.100. That is the default IP for every Triangle radio. Once you log in via the web or the CLI, first thing you want to do, you want to set your management IP and relevant settings. By that I mean IP, subnet, gateway, SNMP managers, NTP servers, FTP server, all that information. After you set those, set your frequencies. ODU power on. Set frequency modulation and transmit power. If you do not turn the ODU power on, the actual IDU or OMU is going to tell you, I cannot set the frequency. Why? Because I don't know what is my frequency range that I can set. Okay? So you remember, you must turn it on. You don't have to transmit. There's 2 things here. ODU power on is different than op mode on, transmitter on. ODU power on gives power to the ODU unit. So, ODU power off means the IF cable, the LMR 400, is not going to carry any negative 48 volts on the tower. ODU power on, that means this is carrying the actual negative 48 volts. And you can read this. Transmitter on and off means this is not going to transmit. It's just going to be listened all the time. Okay?
And we are getting these slides, you said, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you're gonna do it here a couple of times, so don't worry. Now, step 4, you do one side, repeat on the far side. Just remember, different IPs, frequency-wise, on microwave radios, as we said before, this is TVD. Sorry, frequency FDD. One frequency transmit, one receive. Unlock on license 5 and 2/4. So only a single frequency for both. Half duplex, has to wait, come back the other side. The transmit frequency on one side is the receive frequency on the other side. Okay? If not, it's not gonna work. After that, I turn the transmitter on when I'm on the tower, align the antennas. Okay? Management access. We're gonna start with a web interface. Default IP address. This is out of the box when you take it out of the box from Triangle. Web interface, standard browser. Chrome, Firefox, and IE. In that order, please. Okay? IE, okay, Internet Explorer. I don't want to trash Microsoft, but I'm gonna have to say it. All your links out there, if you log in via Internet Explorer, you're gonna have a cut line on the MECR SSI. It's not gonna display correctly. If you change to Chrome or Firefox, you're gonna get the full display. Access levels, what we said before. Web interface. If you know, you cannot change or add any users to the Triangle radios. There's always gonna be admin and config. Those are the only 2 users the radio knows. Okay? You can change the passwords, but not the users. Okay? And no, it doesn't go with LDAP or anything like that. It cannot integrate to LDAP. Okay? I know where you're going with this. Okay, Jeff?
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I just laugh, and I know people in my office. I'm a TACAX guy.
Okay. All right. Now, again, view node allows to view all parameters and radio settings. You're able to monitor and clear port statistics. Again, you can clear the counters to see if I'm actually hitting anything on the Ethernet packets, but does not reboot the radio. Okay. On the config node, user is going to be config password triangle. Out of the box, every password is triangle. If you change it, just remember what it is. Even if you go through the serial port, you have to go to the actual passwords. I'm going to warn you right now. Strata Link 24 encrypted model, I cannot recover the passwords. Okay, guys? So if you call me and say, Jose, I have an SF24 that I forgot the password, good for you. You only got 2 options, okay? Either factory reset it or think really hard about the password. So that's the only thing you can do in that case. SF24 non-encrypted, I can help you. License links, I can help you. SF24E, I cannot help if you actually forget passwords. Okay? That's how encrypted it is. It's so secure, if you forget it, you're done. So that's Pentagon security, okay? Alright? Now in the config mode, you can change any parameters, reset the counters, and reboot the radio. So this is when somebody really has to know what they're doing. I'm going to go through the interface, the web interface really fast. We're going to actually play with them. So this is the new Orion Leaks model. You have your IP address for management, your subnet, your gateway. One thing to note is the Apex, every Apex is going to have management port, 1 or 2. If it's a Giga model, it's going to have the 4 ports. You can set it to any 4 you want, either the Ethernet or the SFP cages. Okay? Now, VLAN ID. On this one, by default, it's 100 or 4085. Don't ask me why. I've seen both, but it's always off by default on IBM. IBM tagging, it's off. IBM enable. When we talk about management, you know, when I say IBM or OBM, people always expect to have an OBM button, right? Oh, I want to enable OBM. Well, where's the OBM enable? No, it's not really like that. IBM, it's on. That means I have management on GE1 for my traffic and my management. If IBM is off, then the management is OBM. That's the way it is designed. So you're not going to find the OBM button. There's no OBM button. If IBM is off, that means the radio is OBM. Okay, guys? Just to keep it straight. Okay, that is the way to go. Okay, that's how it is.
You know, if there's a lot of confusion with that, you could just say IBM, OBM. You know, what mode do you want? If you're,
John,
if
see that?
If people are confused, just be explicit with what it is.
Yeah. Slide the bar to the right.
Yeah, because you're gonna look actually in the manual, OBM, enable. It's not. I mean, it's IBM on or off, and then you have to determine, right? Now, one thing, when you turn IBM tagging on, remember to first set the VLAN ID correctly. Reason why? Oh my God, I just logged out of my radio. I have the wrong VLAN and the switch on top of a mountain. Yeah. Well, I gotta go on access port on my switch to do what VLAN was it, right? So before you enable tagging, remember to set the VLAN ID correctly.
Screenshot.
Yes. The only way going around that is the serial port, right? If you have it on bench, or just factory default.
I only laugh because I know Sean and Steve did that. it was before they came to this class.
Okay. Yep. Okay, latitude and longitude. The radio does not have a GPS. It is a string. Basically, you can put a reference in there. We put an example, lat and long, and the coordinates. Unit ID, you can put reference name on it. NTP, on or off. You can have the radio pull the actual NTP information from your local server, an internet server, or just put the date on the radio. Okay? Any questions on OBM, IBM? How do you enable each one?
No.
Right? Okay, guys.
I got it.
Okay, remember. Web interface on the actual Ethernet ports. So we have two ports on the Apex line. One is the GU1 RJ45, our actual physical port, Ethernet port. The other one is the SFP cage. They're both enabled. Auto negotiate. I recommend keeping this always auto negotiate. However, I've seen cases where radios don't like to talk to certain switches. And it's not because it's a triangle problem, okay? It's a vendor agnostic problem, okay? I've seen this happen with Microtex, Brocades, some certain models just say the radio's not connected. But you actually have it plugged in, everything's working. Unless you hard code the speed on both, they will talk correct. So just FYI on that one. If you see weird behavior, our recommendation is leave it auto. What you plug into the radio is gonna be detected, right? A gig or 100. But if it's giving you issues, especially on Microtik, okay, router boards, 2011s, firmware 5, okay. This is, you have to hardcore the both sides.
But I mean, you haven't mentioned the C word anywhere along here. I mean, is Cisco and the ProCurve's been okay?
Yeah, those been okay actually. Yeah.
It's just that other stuff.
A workaround that it's, I actually went to Microtik and asked this question. Okay, I cannot be the only one that happens, right? Trump cannot be the only one that does this. So Microtik, the formal answer is there's two ways around it. Hard code the speeds, and if it's still buggy, you can put a dumb switch in the middle.
Oh, good.
Between the radio and the actual router board 2011.
$20,000 worth of equipment with a $50
yes, dummy switch, TripNet, yeah. But you know, I'm just telling you this because this is what I've seen in the field and what I've seen firsthand. So we have any surprises.
We tried to use an extreme switch at one end and had issues with it, and then wound up swapping it out for an ME3400.
Yeah.
It was the switch for sure.
Yeah. When John already spoke about SFPs, right? Proprietary from Triangle. It's not that we want to sell you our stuff. I mean, we do, but what happens is our SFPs are serial specific, basically on the baud rate. So we test them and we know they work. I heard customers use Cisco, HP, and they work fine. So if it works for them, we work, right?
But I can appreciate the extended temperature range. That would be bad because the cheap ones, they don't have the extended range and they'll just crap out.
Correct. Now
on Christmas Day, you're trying to be cozy by the fire.
4th of July weekend, Labor Day,
Yeah.
pick a place, right?
Yeah.
All right. So now going forward, what you said, we connect. We're gonna actually see the speed connected to priority here. priority is when we have typically IBM enabled and we have line rate going on the radio. We have almost filled up our pipe. We have 600 megs, 750 megs. Management on the same pipe with the IBM tagging, you want to give priority to that. So you put it at least at 7 key. Max rate in megabits. This is designed to help bursty traffic. This is not designed to limit the end customer. Okay? You can limit how much comes out of that port. But the final design is not to say, oh, this customer bought a 50 megabit connection. You're not supposed to go into 50 megabits. That's not designed for that. You have to limit the bandwidth on your switch or a band limiter on the other side. Okay? Now, status. First one. If it says on, that means there's a cable, physical cable plugged in. It says off, there's nothing plugged in. Okay? PLA. You can set it here if it's master or slave. Favorite subject, VLANs. Okay? Going back to our previous products, 8-bits plus, Giga plus, even 8-bits. Transparent bridge. Port 1 goes to port 1 on the far side. All the VLANs go across, untitled traffic goes across. Moving forward, Orion links SL24E. You have to add your VLAN traffic per port. This is how you do it. To the web interface, you come in, and you're going to first select your port, G1 or G2. If it's out-of-band management, you know that your G1 is your management, and SFP is your data. So you will click, for example, G2, click, and then you say VLAN add range. If I want to add 10 VLANs, for example, from 20 to 30, I want to add VLAN lower limit 20, upper limit 30. Then apply changes, and I'm going to see on ETH2 the actual range, 20 to 30. Okay. Again, if you want to make it a trunk port, you got to add 2 to 4085. The other ones, 4086, 4079, are reserved internally for triangle for on-site traffic. So those you cannot use. Other gotcha is you cannot declare duplicate VLANs per port. So if you want to have on G1 100 to 500, that's okay. But if you want to add the 400 on the actual G2, you have to exclude that specific VLAN and put it on the other port. So just be careful with that. Any questions on this? Favorite subject, VLANs. Okay? Okay.
I'm layer 1, man.
All right. Okay. RF link. We covered so far the management interface, IP, subnet, gateway, IP. I told you the default user and passwords. Now, IP and RF, two different things. RF settings. The transmit frequency, you can only set the transmit frequency. The receive frequency is going to be set based on the frequency duplets. Now, transmit power is 28 dBms. Transmitter on or off. Remember that I told you guys that you have the ODU power on and the transmit power on. Well, here's the difference. If you have ODU power on, there's -48 going to the ODU. That's fine. But you can have transmitter off. That means it's not transmitting any data. It's just listening. Channel bandwidth, 60 is the highest channel we have. Minimum modulation, QPSK. Max modulation, 1024 QAM. Now, in this slide, this is what most of the time they're the issues that happen on the field, right? Or you configure a radio and you forgot to save and apply. So first thing we're troubleshooting this link. We check our frequencies. Okay, that's the first thing we do, check frequencies. After that, we check the channel bandwidth. Channel bandwidth, it may skip because you may have a great RSSI, you may have -42, -35, but it doesn't lock at all. Okay, you cannot get it to link. And you're looking at what's happening, what's wrong. You only have access to one side, right? Typically. Well, tell the other guy to check what is the channel bandwidth. If those don't match, it will not link. Okay. Min and max modulation, they can be different. Of course, we want it to be the same, 1024 QPSK. The radio is going to be in the middle. Worst case is going to happen. So when we're troubleshooting, first thing to check frequencies. After that, channel bandwidth. That's the first thing you guys want to check. Remember that. All right, guys. Any questions on the web interface? No. Web interface and CLI, same things. However, remember I told you guys the CLI is just a little more power. It's always a little more robust. I'm going to tell you why right now. Okay? How you guys feel? Bored? Listening? No? Okay. So, alright, here we go. Command line interface. I know you guys are super good at this, okay?
So hitting the question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, question mark. Alright. So we can go in. There's 3 ways we can do this. Via telnet session, okay? And you can even do a telnet from your iPad now, okay? SSH connection, serial cable. Those are 3 ways you can go into the actual CLI interface. The serial connection, the baud rate is not the same as a Cisco. Okay? So this is what you have to do. 1152.00. The other stuff is the same. Data bits 8, parity none, stop bits 1. I said before, when you get a link from Triangle, it's going to be pre-configured for you. So take it out of the box, have your configuration report. You're going to have IPs, frequencies, channel, everything for your PCN, how it states. Okay? If you play with it and you start saving, rebooting, it doesn't link anymore, you have to factory reset it and start again. We're going to go through the 5 steps, really simple. Log in via the web interface or the CLI. Now the IP is the same for both interfaces, that doesn't change. Step 2, set the management IP. Whatever you want to be on the random subnet, just set it correctly. Step 3, ODU power on. If I do not power on the ODU, I cannot set my frequencies. Because the radio, the actual IDU is not going to say what do you want me to set? What is my range? Right? What is my limit? Lower a number. Transfer power modulation rates. After that, go to the far side, do the same thing again. Again, if you don't remember my name, where I'm from, where I work, just remember you have to test it on the bench. Okay? Again, management access to the CLI, default IP address, still 192.168.100.100. You can do a telnet, SSH, or serial. Exam question. What is the only session that I cannot turn off? Cannot disable? SSH. I can disable the telnet and I can disable the web access. So that way, nobody can go in via my 80 port, nobody can go via a telnet port, 32, but I can still go SSH and serial. Security purposes. Some people, for example, oil and gas companies, they just disable web and telnet. Everything has to be locked down. So, all right. So remember on the web interface, I only have 2 access levels, view and node. Now we have a debug mode. Now all you guys that are, Linux gurus, Cisco guys, Juniper, anything, the debug prompt is literally a little taste of the Linux inside the radio. Okay? From there you can actually ping, SSH, telnet, and change the view password. So we have a little more to play with. The features don't change. From the view node, you can go in there, check parameters, clear the counters, but you cannot reboot the radio. From the config node, again, now you can change parameters, change IPs, whatever you want, and reboot the radio. So you have the power. From the debug prompt, from here we can actually jump interfaces, go to another radio, another device on the network. As long as it accepts a telnet or SSH session, I can connect to it. And change the view password as well. CLI commands, okay? Exam commands, know them by heart. This is what's gonna help you troubleshoot and do your link status every day. Assuming you have SNMP, which I hope you guys do, okay? These are the top 10 commands I want you to learn. Sysinfo, this is what sysinfo tell me anything on the radio, okay? What is the IP, management interface, management port, RF settings, SNMP, everything is in the sysinfo. Speed, what is my channel bandwidth, my minimum modulation, and my max modulation. Uptime. Uptime tells me how long this radio has been up and running since my last power cycle. Okay. Link test 10. Link test, it's a real up-to-date, accurate link status. When you look in the web interface and you have every 30 seconds, every 20 seconds refresh, that's pulled directly from the CLI. So the web interface is just a mask for the CLI. Link test 10, you can see up right now what's happening on my link. Going up and down, negative 50, 55. What is the modulation? Your ACM is enabled. Version. What firmware do I have? It's going to give me the previous firmware and the current firmware. Model. That's always a good one for troubleshooting. The reason why is because if I do a model command, if my ODU is powered up, but it's not being recognized, it's going to say, oh, I don't have an ODU detected. It's just going to tell you no information, no information. So you know at that point you either have an IF problem, end connector problem going from the IDU to the tower, or literally your ODU went down. Could happen. Lightning strike, bad IF connector. The model command is going to be one of your best friends as well. Status PLL. If your link is up and running, out mode's on, transmitter's on, and you do status PLL and they don't come back all at once, that's a failure automatically, status PLL. That's a bad OAU.
Is that basically just low-level circuit board, are you there kind of thing?
Correct.
Yeah.
Pretty much, are you transmitted or not? Question mark. As John mentioned before, we are a lot Cisco-like, so space question mark, and question mark will be one of your best friends to know navigate the CLI. Okay? CLI interface, I said this is simple. Now remember, I told you guys that I like more the CLI, not because I am a Linux guru or a Cisco guru, no. It's just, I want the information in a single place. If I go to the web interface, I'm going to be going to the management, then going to the RF to see all the settings, right? On the sysinfo, I just do one command and I get everything that I need in one page. Okay? And you can copy and paste this in a notepad, keep it for reference. Because you're going to have your receive, transmit, receive frequency, your power, modulation, everything you need in case you need to replace a link. So sysinfo looks like this. We have multiple sections. Management, IP interface, OMU information. Jeff, you were saying, where do I get the information for the ticket, right? Support ticket?
Mm-hmm. Like you guys asked for like a model number and a firmware version.
Yes.
And there's many.
So the serial, here you go. On management part, you see OMU, serial ID, here you go, and the ODU serial ID. What we typically want is the OMU or the IDU, because we can track when that was purchased. In firmware, it's FW version. That will be one, for example, here's 1.1P2R0. That will be our version. Radio configuration, ODU power on or off, frequency duplex, our transfer frequency, receive frequency. Everything from the web interface is here as well. System configuration. HTTP, it's on. If I turn it off, you must go via the CLI. Okay, you cannot access the web. That may happen to you once in a while. PLA. If you're not using PLA, it must be off. Okay. SNMP. If you turn SNMP off, you will not be able to monitor the radio. We only have V1 and V2. Next gen products are going to have V3, SNMP V3. TFTP. TFTP by default is off. TFTP is the only way to upgrade the firmware on the radio. So firmware is done via the CLI only. No web interface, no drag and drop, no, you have to do via the CLI. TFTP and FTP. Telnet D, the daemon. I can turn out the telnet session. You may see this down the line somewhere. Okay. Ethernet port configuration. Again, everything that I want, status, speed is going to be here. So this is the rundown of everything. Now, we've been talking about the system setup, the actual IP, the management interfaces, but as far as real lab application, we talk about all the way about 1024 QAM link, right? 512, 32 QAM. What actually drives that modulation rate is my MSE value. Okay? Correlation. RSSI has to be lower negative value, MSE higher. The MSE dictates the modulation. So yeah, 1024 QAM link, my minimum modulation is going to be 35.2 if I want to have a 1024 QAM link. That's the threshold. If it doesn't reach the MSE 35, it's going to drop to QAM 512. So my MSE determines my modulation rate. For example, if the link goes up and down, okay, my MSE's threshold level, maybe ACM went up and down because it came on the bad weather, but MSE dictates my actual modulation rate. Again, IP config for the IP management. If you do IP config space question mark, it's going to tell you what is the next command you can issue, gateway or IP. Now in here, we change them one at a time. You either got to change the gateway or the IP first. Management, OVM or IVM, same thing. IVM is going to tell me is it on or off, what I have tagging on, what is my VLAN ID, and what is my IVM port. I can set the management port via the management_port command. Port configuration. Remember we said we can hard code the speed of the actual port? We can do it here, also in the CLI. We can turn it on, turn it off, set the speed, limit the port rate, enable pause frames, all that good stuff. Favorite subject, VLANs again. From the web interface, you can only add 20 VLANs at a time, okay? From the CLI, legally, by the book, by the manual, you can only add 100 at a time. Jose said you can add 1,000 at a time when it's on the bench. It's going to take about 2 minutes probably to just add every VLAN to the port, but if you're going to do a trunk port, you can just, before you deploy it, set it up on the bench. Okay? Any questions on the VLANs? If you want to add a single VLAN, your min and your max range is the same. Okay? That's how you add it. Just so you know. Alright, Link. Again, sysinfo2, what we want to check when we're troubleshooting the radio. First of all, my transmit and receive frequencies. Channel bandwidth, which is the most common problem. You're playing with it, you're testing here and there, you forget to save it, this could happen. Transfer power. We were talking a little bit earlier about alignment, right? If my RSSIs are not symmetrical, what's going to happen? If they're not symmetrical, but one is, for example, -50, -60, check the transfer power first. One may be 10 dBs higher than the other. If the RSSI is symmetrically bad, it's 100% alignment, no way around it. You have to go up, check the alignment. I cannot tell you which side the other one. Link test. Link test space, you can go all the way to 99. However, when you issue the link test command, you cannot issue anything else on the radio. Okay? You're going to have to wait until it finishes, and then you can issue any other command or get back into the radio. It doesn't mess with traffic, it doesn't stop management, it just does not let you add any other command while you're doing this. And remember this, because when we're doing the exercise, this is what happens. There's no limit of users that can be logged at the same time to the radio. So what happens? You do a link test and he wants to go into the radio, you came first, so you won, so you got control. After that finishes, if somebody changed something else, first come, first serve. So there's no limit of connections to the radio. Okay? That's why I would keep the password really, really secret. So that's it. I cannot limit anything else.
Are you going to talk about the password change procedure?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That can be done, independent on each interface. So if you go to the web, just go to the password, you can change it there. Into the CLI, you can go to config and change the password as well. And there's a command to see all the passwords from the CLI. So let's say you forgot the web interface, you can always just recover yourself. If you change the CLI and you forgot that one, you will need support help. But again, SF24E, two options: remember really hard or factory reset it. Okay. Okay. So we talked about doing changes, but how do we make them permanent? On the CLI, you have to do config space save. If you do not save the configuration, what's going to happen is, in any power cycle, by mistake or intention, power strike, power outage, whatever you want to call it, there is going to come back with the original default setting before you did a config save. And that's not good when it happens, Labor Day weekend, top of a tower, things like that. So make sure you do a config save. Make a habit of doing that config save. The prompt on the CLI, by default, CLI view, CLI config. I can change the prompt to wherever I want. What I recommend is putting, for example, site A going to site B, IP1 to IP2, A or B site. And we're going to talk about sites as well. The prompt is for you guys to know where you are at all times, because when you log into it, what radio am I? IP config and try to do the IP again. No, you can just see where you are. Okay. Now, Jeff, from pluses to Orion and links. Syslog server, multiple Syslog servers if you have something offsite. NTP, FTP. FTP is not for firmware upgrade. It's only for radio configuration backup. But I gotta warn you, the FTP will back up the config file. It will not grab the IP of the radio. So that means that if for some reason the radio fails, you take it down from a tower, you get a replacement radio, and you say, oh, upload config file, you have to first go into the radio, IP correctly, and then send the config file. Config file is going to have RF settings, passwords, which, from my perspective, I would just do the sysinfo and the WordPad and just do it myself, because it's faster sometimes. You don't have to set up the FTP server, pointing to the FTP, just do it one time and you're done. Any questions on the CLI interface and the web interface? We're going to jump into a bit later. We're going to take a break right now for about 10 minutes. You can wake up, okay? Get some Pepsi, get some Coke, get some coffee. So we still got a couple, 2 hours to go. So we're going.